Joining us to talk NHL is our guy, Scott Laughlin. He doesn't know it, but I feel like I talk to him every day because I hear him every day on SiriusXM NHL Radio. Scotty, welcome to the program. Please finish this sentence for me. The best NHL team in Canada is blank, and why?
Well, the best NHL team in Canada right now, if we're going off recency bias, Rod, I think has to be the Edmonton Oilers. It's not going to be reflected in the standings as of yet, but they are the hottest team in Canada right now. As we speak, 8 straight victories. After tonight, they could be back into a playoff spot. It's somewhat remarkable to think that, but with Arizona coming back and Edmonton surging, it might just be a matter of time. So, look, I think Chris Knobloch took over the Edmonton Oilers at exactly the right time. I think we knew that they've got way too much talent to be floundering like they were. Stuart Skinner looks like the all-star he once was, and I think you add it all up. And right now, the team that's playing the best team right now in Canada, I think the Edmonton Oilers.
How about that? Because I said the Jets, Darren said Vancouver, and he's in Toronto. You'd get an argument from Leafs fans who just spanked the Rangers. How nice is it to actually be able to have a debate around this? That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it really is. And look, I think Winnipeg has come out and they've proven, to your point too, Rod, that they're going to be a contender in the Central Division. I'm not sure that we thought that coming into the campaign. I thought it was going to be Colorado and Dallas, or Dallas and Colorado, and then the race would be on for third. I think many people, including yours truly, had Minnesota finishing third because that's what they do. Minnesota gets 100 points. They get to the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Their bugaboo, like the Toronto Maple Leafs so often, of course, has been getting out of the first round. But Minnesota's that type of team as well. They're going to be heard from. But right now, to your point, Winnipeg's been very, very good. I think just based upon who's playing the best right now, though, over the last couple of weeks in particular, it's that team up there from Northern Alberta.
Just to go off the board for a moment, you spend so much time on the air with Mike Johnson. I actually tweeted at you, and we found out that his dad's from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. How does this guy... Listen, you and I flip the mic. We do our thing every day, and we go to bed in our own bed every night. This guy's everywhere. How does he do it? How does he... Is there 3 of them?
Well, I tell you what, yeah, he's getting ready to go over to Gothenburg, Sweden to cover the World Junior Hockey Championship once again so well for TSN. You're right. I've said this to Mike before. I said, you must be traveling as much now as you did when you were playing in the National Hockey League, right? We know how it is. You're on the road for half the season. You get home, and I don't want to speak for Mike, but I know from my personal standpoint, if you're on the road for so long, you come back, it's an adjustment. There's no doubt adjustment from many different standpoints. So, look, I'm proud of him. He's great to listen to. He knows his hockey. Very, very smart guy from Bowling Green, as he often reminds us. And you're right, he's been an Ironman. There's no question about it. Look forward to hearing his World Junior coverage once again.
Well, one thing I appreciate is a work ethic. He's got it. You have it. But I just can't believe how much this guy works. By the way, the World Juniors does not have a Connor Bedard this year. What's your excitement level 1 to 10 going into the tournament as opposed to, say, the last few years?
Well, it's always a 10 for me. I know there's no Connor Bedard. I heard you talking about it a little bit earlier, and you're right. He's been there and done that, 23 points in 7 games, and doing what he did with that highlight reel goal when Canada needed most going back to last year's tournament. So you don't have that guy, but you do have Macklin Celebrini. And Max Celebrini, yesterday in that pre-tournament game against the U Sports All-Stars, he was the best player on the ice for Team Canada. So you've got him, the prospective top overall pick, of course, at the draft in Vegas coming up in June of 24. You've got him to look forward to. I was a little concerned, Rod. I'm not sure what your level of concern is, but they lost to the U Sports All-Stars yesterday 6-1. This game was in doubt up until the third period. They gave up 4 unanswered goals in the third period. Now, granted, there were a handful of guys that didn't play for Canada in that game that eventually will be playing for Canada when push comes to shove over in Sweden. But usually, those games are competitive at the very least. I would say the fact that they were beaten soundly, Celebrini getting the lone goal for Canada, a little bit concerning. So let's hope that once they get back to playing against players their own age, that Canada is going to be much better off.
Yeah, well, they don't have Bedard. They don't have Owen Power. They don't have NHL caliber players that we've seen the last few years. So we'll see. It's just not the same. But we rely on TSN to tell us who these people are. That's what's wonderful about the World Juniors. Right now, I got one for you. You said you were a day one guy at SiriusXM NHL Radio. Am I right on that?
That's right. I was at XM Radio, and then years later, XM merged with Sirius. But we started off, Rod, and we were called NHL Home Ice when we first started off around
Yeah.
05, 06, coming off that work stoppage.
Okay, so the reason I ask that, and I should have known because when those satellite radios came out, I was at the door of Peterbilt Trucking in Regina. I knew they were selling them. I was beating on the door the first day they had them because I wanted to get it, and I've never. I should have bought that deal, $500 lifetime, but I didn't have $500, so I've spent thousands subscribing since. Anyways, I want your take on this as a guy that's been on that channel for so long. Ovi, you saw his quote that him and Sid saved the NHL. And I saw him get soundly dumped on for that. And I'm like, I don't think he's wrong. Let's think about where the NHL was at that time. I'm sure you guys debated it on the air, but your thoughts on Alex Ovechkin saying him and Sid saved the NHL when they came in.
Yeah, look, I understand what he's trying to say. Just like, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson coming out when they did save the NBA, so to speak. I think when it comes to the National Hockey League, Rod, my take has always been the brand has always been strong. The league has always been strong. The Shield's always been strong. I think that they gave it a much-needed boost at that time. I think that they enhanced the NHL. I don't necessarily think that they saved it. I think that, with all due respect, you've got Sid and you've got Ovi, but there are always going to be these generational type talents, thankfully, that our sport produces. And whether that's, Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews or whomever, I think that they came around at the right time. I also think that they entered the NHL, Rod, at a time where the league looked at the product on the ice and said, look, we've got to change some things here. There's too much hooking, holding, and obstruction going on a nightly basis. We want to open this thing up. We want to see players' skills come to the fore. And I think with that clampdown on obstruction and hooking and holding and all the power plays initially that were given out in 05, 06, and 07 before the players came around and adjusted, I think that really enhanced the NHL as well. So I don't think the two players saved the NHL. I think the brand is too strong and it's been too big for too long. But I think they really did give it the boost that it needed back then. And if nothing else, when you talk about Crosby and Ovechkin, they enhanced the NHL. Let's just put it that way.
Of course. Well, and as this is the one thing I've never figured out. You're not supposed to say these things. And as you know, in hockey, we're supposed to be modest and humble and demure. And most guys are. But you got Ovi say that. And it's got a great talking point. And I don't necessarily think he's wrong. But on the point of Sid, I saw Pittsburgh come through here last week. And although they didn't win, Panthers did. Sid still got it, man. He's still got it. How long do you think he's going to play?
Well, we were just talking about that this morning on our program, Rod. I mean, they're eligible to give him a contract extension, to talk extension with him coming up next summer. And again, I've always said about Crosby, the worst thing that happened to Crosby was the fact he was born on August the 7th, right? So he's got to wear 87 on the back of his sweater. He's got to make 8.7 on the AAV. I said the only thing that went wrong for Crosby was the fact that he wasn't born in September or October. Because theoretically speaking, maybe he'd earn a little bit more money along the way. But in all seriousness, I mean, the guy's, 36 now, 3 points in Montreal at the Bell Center last night. He's on pace to score 50 goals this season, Rod. 50 goals, 94 points for a 36-year-old Crosby, Sid the Kid. I tell you what, this guy's still got a lot more left to give. The fact that Ovi's stuck on 5 goals this season to me is shocking, even at his age. But Crosby shows no signs of slowing down. He's been the one constant in an inconsistent season so far for the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are starting to come around, perhaps after a middling start, to say the least. They're trying to find some consistency. Maybe back-to-back wins gets it done. I'll be interested to see what his extension looks like coming up as early as next summer.
Well, this is what I say, and you and I look at things, I think, fairly the same, at least from what I hear of you. I think you do. You hear all this buzz and junk and crap on social media and even the analysts on TV. It's just talk. Watch the games. That's all you got to do is watch the games and make your own opinion. And Sid is still all that. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't disagree. I think he's had a fabulous season. If he keeps it up at this point, maybe he's a dark horse Hart Trophy candidate. Wouldn't that be something at the advanced age he's at right now? Again, it would seem to be unthinkable, but what we've seen in professional sports the last number of years, and obviously when you talk about guys who had longevity and were still great towards the end, you're probably talking about TB12 Tom Brady above everybody else. But the fact that he could still be a star at this age, 36 or so, is really a credit to him, not only to his talent, his God-given ability, but the fact that he's in tremendous shape and that work ethic, as we say, that fourth-line work ethic for a guy who's going to be a first-ballot Hockey Hall of Famer. It's almost an unbeatable combination, I think.
Fun to watch. Scott, I always treasure our chats with you. Keep it up, my man. Merry Christmas and enjoy the hockey. Thanks for the time.
Same to you, Rod. Thank you very much.